Hi everybody, Mark Gomes here, PTT Research. We're going to address some rumors that are coming out of TMZ today that are hitting shares of Glue Mobile. They are reporting that Kim is going to make $85 million off of the Kim Kardashian video game, the Glue Mobile Kim Kardashian Hollywood. And they are reporting that Kim's cut is 45% of profits and that the expenses will not exceed $10 million, and that amounts to $85.5 million for Kim. Now, I'm going to explain why their math is incorrect, and actually they say themselves that they are no mathematicians. Well, that's very clear to me here. So let's talk about why. As we see here on our screen, I've got some models lined up here to explain what's going on here. The key word in TMZ's information is net. So she is not getting 45% of gross according to their information. And if their information is true, which we have not confirmed or denied, kudos to them. But we're going to do this call under the assumption that it is true that she's getting 45% of net and walk you through what that means. So first of all, they also state that the game should do $200 million this year, quoting Cowen and Company's estimates, and I assume if they're speaking to people so close to the deal that they have kind of confirmed that $200 million number is in play. For the record, we only published a $60 million number in our estimates yesterday with our upgrade of the target price to $10. If we move this $60 million number up to 100 or 200 million, then our target price has to move up commensurately. So we have very conservative assumptions on our 10% on a $10 price target. And let's go over some scenarios here with regard to what Kim actually ends up getting and what that leaves for Glue Mobile. So in scenario one that we've put together here, we are assuming that Glue is going to incur normal marketing expenses. Generally speaking, companies like Glue, King Digital with Candy Crush, they tend to spend about 20% of revenue on marketing. Obviously, that has a nice ROI for them. It drives more revenue, which helps them drive more marketing, and it's all a virtuous cycle for them. If we assume that $200 million is going to be the revenue for this game this year, the cost of goods sold is going to be roughly $65 million. And you see the formula here. The 0.3 represents the 30% cut that the Apple Store will take, and any store for that matter, will generally take as their royalty on the game. Now, this is something that TMZ did not even address, and it's part of the reason why they're reporting 45% of net, not 45% of gross revenue. Okay, net profits, not gross revenue. So as we move down the line, the gross profit will be $135 million under this scenario. And again, Kim isn't even getting 45% of gross profit. She's getting 45% of net profit. Okay, if we take out the marketing expenses of 20% that we're modeling in this first scenario, it leaves operating income of $95 million. That's a staggering amount of money that amounts to $1 per share for Glue Mobile. Okay, if Kim is getting 45% of that, then her royalty on $200 million in revenue is $43 million. Still a staggering number, but nowhere near the $85 million being reported by TMZ, and amounts to 21% of revenue. So that's nice. We assume 15% royalty in our model, but we've also assumed $60 million in revenue in our model. So I will gladly give Kim 21% to increase the $60 million estimate that we have to $200 million or $100 million for that matter. Okay, so that's scenario one. Scenario two assumes that Kim's people are going to be putting a lot of their efforts into this game, and I assume they already have been. And that enables Glue to potentially drop their marketing expenses on this game to say 10%. Maybe half of the marketing capability for this game is coming from Kim's side of the fence, and that possibly leaves Glue with the ability to only spend 10% of revenue on this game. In that scenario, the cost of goods sold is still $65 million, with the 30% cut going to the app stores, and about $5 million in development expenses, which may be actually high on our side. There's a reason to believe that $5 million is too high a number, but we're trying to be conservative here on the expense side. That leaves a gross profit of $135 million, same as scenario 1, but the marketing expenses drops to $20 million as opposed to $40 million in the first scenario. That leaves $115 million in operating income. Again, more than $1 per share of Glue Mobile. And so the 45% of net on that would be $52 million to Kim, which is 26% of revenue. However, this should not be construed as a 26% royalty, because if Kim is enabling marketing expenses to decline by 10%, then effectively Glue is paying her the equivalent of a 16% royalty because of the value add that she's bringing to the table in terms of marketing capability, etc. So, in scenario 1, she gets 21%, which is maybe 6 points higher than a standard 15% royalty. And in the second scenario, she's getting an effective 16%, which is only 1 point higher than what we've modeled in our assumptions. So now that assumes that we're working off of operating income. If net means net income after taxes, then these numbers go down significantly from there. And we can't even begin to make assumptions around what kind of tax rate they would be utilizing, etc. So we just stopped short at operating income. One way or the other, I view this as relatively mild relative to the excitement of them potentially pulling in $200 million in revenue. Now, keep in mind, we're only talking about 2014 here. The $200 million estimate, all these numbers for Kim Kardashian, that's just 2014. As the game continues to generate revenue in 2015, Glue will continue to benefit from this game. So we're only talking about this year's numbers. A few other things to consider. On the balance sheet, per the 10K for Glue Mobile, they have a deferred tax asset that was valued at $74 million. That's a significant portion of Glue Mobile's market cap, which is only just north of $500 million, but it's valued at 0 on the balance sheet. And that is pretty standard for companies that are generally losing money to value their tax assets at 0 despite a named value of, say, $74 million, because there's no assurances that they'll be able to pull the profit necessary to utilize that tax asset. And in fact, this is just a valuation assessment. If we look at the details, they actually have $93 million in deferred tax carry forwards for federal purposes, and another $78 million for federal for state purposes. We see that they have another few million in assorted tax benefits, and $47 million in the United Kingdom. So they have tremendous amount of net operating loss carry forwards, which will enable them to not pay taxes on a significant portion of the money that will be coming in from this game and other games going forward, as you saw in my report yesterday. Obviously, they have the engines that are developing more profits. They have sequels that will develop profits. They have the monetization engine that's developing profits. And in addition to that, they now have an acquisition strategy, Play First Games being most recent, that will presumably also deliver profits as they take gaming companies that don't have monetization engines and take their old games and plug them into a monetization platform and generate more profit than the acquired company can themselves. Glue has a stellar, perfect track record of making accretive acquisitions. So I view that as very bullish and something that we'll discuss separately later. So getting back to the deferred tax asset, if you look at this 95 million or this 115 million in operating income, even after giving Kim her cuts, in this scenario we have 52 million of net operating income after paying Kim. And in this scenario too, we have 63 million left over in operating income after paying Kim her cut. Neither one of those exceed the net operating loss carryforwards that Glue has to their disposal. So all of this money drops to the bottom line for Glue effectively, especially from a cash flow perspective. So in one scenario, the lighter scenario here, Glue pulls in 52 million, doesn't pay anything in real taxes because they have the tax assets, and that amounts to more than 50 cents per share from this game alone in 2014. That is a staggering number, and it becomes even more staggering when we start thinking about the sorts of games that Glue can come out with in the future. Miley Cyrus, LeBron James, they can go in any direction with this. Any famous character who has an interesting story of how they became famous will fit into this paradigm. What this really is sort of like an interactive biography where you get to live the charmed life of a star going from a nobody to famous, like Kim did, like LeBron did, like anybody does who's not born into fame. So tremendous opportunities for this company going forward. I see a lot of upside in 2015 from this. Just a few final notes that I put here. These numbers, obviously, for Kim can be affected not only by an assumed tax rate potentially, but also Glue corporate overhead and any other additional expenses that we may not be thinking about. Clearly, Glue is a smart company. They have a smart management team. They wouldn't set themselves up to give up 50% of revenue to anybody for any reason, especially considering the 30% cut that the app stores get. So what we have here is a piece of news that is incremental and informational and helpful, but not tremendously bearish, particularly if TMZ has indeed spoken to sources close to the deal and have greater certainty into a 200 million number versus the 60 million number that we've been working off of in the public domain. So I think we're still good to go here. Our price target remains $10. We'll be reviewing the future events as they unfold for potential upgrades to that $10 price target. And make sure you come to PTT Research or poisethetriple.com. These are value-added services that we are providing to our subscribers, and our subscribers will have seen this video before you. If you are not subscribed, we are going to be providing this to them first. So if you want the early scoop, come to PTT Research, and that's it for now. Take care. Thanks.